the distance. It is a derelict structure and has been derelict for over a century. The curious public are not allowed near the structure. They tell us it was built very quickly by a Mr. John Smedley. Smedley was,
that's what 90% of conspiracies that involve like history are basically. It's just like people not having faith in human ingenuity.
The narrative states that Smedley built Smedley's Hydro, which sits on Smedley Street in Matlock. It is now a government council building.
And just not understanding that, like, just because one person is credited with something doesn't mean that they didn't have help, you know?
Just look at these structures. Smedley did not build the Hydro. Its structure...
Like, in 100 years, are people gonna look back at the Dark Souls games and be like, oh, Miyazaki couldn't have done this all by himself, blah, 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 blah. No. They're going to be like, oh, well, yeah, Miyazaki directed, and then everybody else did this, 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 and this. He's not the sole person who did this. He's just the director of this structure.
Smedley's water tower evades his capabilities and the capabilities of all the 19th century citizens. The citizens of the 19th century Peak District inherited all of this infrastructure, and the controllers of our realm knew that they needed to squash any possibility of it being used for its original intended purposes, or for any of the inheritors to discover the truth. It was just too obvious, and soon, someone amongst the crowd might start putting two and two together. So they did what they do best.
Yeah, somebody might look at big building and go, are you forming the ancient megalithic ultra energy grid again?
Still play. His mission was to carefully control the introduction of hydropathy, only for it to be declared primitive or fraudulent, and then subsequently buried and eradicated as a serious practice. His story is a very similar story to another enemy puppet that has gained a lot more attention over the years. I too once fell for the lies surrounding this man's story.
Oh my god, now we get into Tesla?
And they were tremendously successful in curing a whole host of diseases and issues, ranging from inflammation and bilious attacks to paralysis, rheumatism, and fevers. This was conducted through an array of different bathing techniques, applying dripping sheets as bandages, and fusing electricity, sound waves, and water. There were, as one newspaper reported, electric bells throughout the buildings. No doubt the actual potential of hydropathy was never fully expressed in Smedley's array of hydros, but they nonetheless helped people tremendously. And they were a huge success, so the controllers temporarily profited financially. The hydros healed and increased the well-being of people through water and its fusion with sound,
beat around every
frequency,
bush ever. He's doing it. He's accomplishing it.
Options for high-powered parabolic reflector, electric ionization, and high-frequency treatment. Smedley also demonstrated the ability of etherized water to heat entire rooms in a profound way. The fernery at the hydro had a water heating system built into its walls and always maintained a constant temperature.
You mean a radiator? Every place that I have lived, except for where I live right now, has been heated by radiator. Which basically means there's a furnace in the basement that heats water, and then the hot water comes up to your apartment, and it fucking disperses the heat through a big metal box. It's a fucking radiator. He used radiators. Bro. Radiators are not a conspiracy. I didn't think it was going to go like this. I really didn't. I thought we were going to clown on flat earthers. I didn't think I was going to have to explain that radiators are not a conspiracy.
Of 65 degrees, even when the room was filled with a crowd of 350 or so.
Is this what I'm doing with my life?
How was this kind of technology
I guess
in the 19th century, and yet today
I guess this is what I'm doing with my life.
Historians
I'm explaining
would deliberately smear Smedley, casting hydropathy
to people on the internet that radiators are real and work.
And after his death, the hydros were purchased and the structural alterations began. Like Tesla, Smedley played his role and successfully introduced the science of the old world to have it debunked, tarnished, and sidelined forever. Hydropathy today is regarded as nothing more than a relaxing spa venture. All of its original applications of frequency and electricity have been eradicated from the practice. Smedley's role-playing allowed the controllers to justify the entire water grid system of the Peak District,
do it
successfully preventing the current 19th century and further subsequent generations from questioning its presence. The remains of the grid today are so evident. You can sit and relax to the soothing sound of water falling over the turreted regal Derwent Reservoir, which connects the entire region through its branching rivers and canals. You can stroll around shopping inside of old power stations and at old pumping stations. And in every area of the region, there are wonders waiting to be discovered. Not only in the larger towns do we find old fountains that once provided the living waters, but also in the remote villages. Tucked away, we find an old dry fountain. Look, the Lord's gift, a bittersweet joy to behold. The citizens of the old world unlock the power of electromagnetic water by studying the stars above in the firmament. The stars above taught them that the key to manipulating the ethereal energy they harness from the ionosphere was through water, sound waves, vibration, and frequency. They honored this gift by constructing domes, by crafting star cities, cymatic magnetrons, and praising the Lord and Holy Spirit for the living waters they received in return. They understood the firmament as both scientists and disciples. Viewer, I am hoping the picture is starting to become clearer in your mind. And you will inevitably start to see things light when pondering all of these impossible structures. It is not a coincidence that some structures like the
picture is becoming clearer.
Amphitheaters. Have you seen them from above? They look like speakers. Amphitheater is an interesting word. An amp is a unit of electric current.
Oh my god, he's doing this thing again.
Signal, especially microwaves and audio. And no doubt you will start to put two and two together in terms of some of the inventions that we were allowed to play around with before they were discarded as antique in their efficiency. But time is of the essence. We could ponder examples of the old world's electromagnetic...
Time is of the essence, he says, almost 3 hours into his 5-hour video.
For hours. But I encourage you to get out and hunt down these structures yourself and to document them in your own time. We have to move on. We need to start... Wait, what? You want to know if these came from the old world? Yes, they did. And they're extremely important. The inevitable ticking of the clock. A deeply unsettling instrument, but unavoidable. I need to show you one more missing piece of the electromagnetic puzzle first, and then we will take a closer look at these timekeeping instruments.
What the fuck are you talking about?
A missing piece of the puzzle. When observing the old world structures today, there is a great sense of absence and alteration. Structures have evidently been altered and changed drastically over the last 200 or so years. And when journeying across our realm and studying these structures, a tremendous sense of absence persists. Something is missing. The concept of ethereal harvesting through these wondrous antennas is not enough. It is not concrete enough to complete the picture. Something else was once present that made the entire technological grid possible. This, of course, is the key technological component of these structures, the engine, and the central mechanisms that made them function in the first place. The engines were, of course, not tokamaks. A tokamak is a crude and base instrument. It is a design of the New World. It does not belong in the Old World. It would have had no place in their structures. Their sophistication and finesse would not have relied on such ugliness, on such primitiveness. What is undeniable, however, are the parallels between the tokamak's fundamental octagonal form and the Old World's love for the octagon. It is very likely that the octagonal formation is an essential component when generating a toroidal vortex.
I like octagons.
We see the octagon everywhere in the Old World. Octagonal geometry underpins many of the structure's fundamental formations. And the peculiar octagonal structures everywhere are not by mistake. They are what they seem, empty shells that once housed something else. This sense of emptiness is everywhere and remains unexplained. So many towers and domes rise to smaller, hollow domed cupolas. Why are they hollow? Why would an earlier civilization waste so much time and energy constructing such a seemingly superfluous and useless structure?
That's where the bells go.
Most of these empty areas are always directly below the antennas. And although not all of these crucial empty structures are octagonal, most are, and they are always situated in key areas, like under central antennas, beneath domed resonators. In the center of
I like the soft classical music underneath everything. Like, yeah, don't worry, everything's good.
The absence is tangible. There used to be some kind of cylinder or apparatus contained within this space. Furthermore, we also find various historical relics that closely resemble the old world structural style. In these relics we see that empty cylinders or vessels are an integral part of the object. Could these be miniature functional objects that mirror the form of the larger empty spaces we see in the old world structures? Perhaps a kind of micro household object that enabled access to the wider power grid's energy production? Did the larger structures themselves contain similar cylinders within? In many old photographs, the cupolas and octagonal spaces are already emptied.
So he's saying that's where, like, the batteries are. I don't understand. We're 3 hours into the movie about why the Earth is flat and everything, and he hasn't provided a single piece of fucking information as to how or why the Earth is flat. I'm really second guessing my decisions today.
Curious figure. The Mystery of the Cathedrals by Falconelli, a French alchemist, we are told.
Oh no, not Falconelli.
No one knows who he truly was. And like many mysterious figures in
I was actually just about to say, we literally don't know who the fuck Falconelli is.
Is a reference to Vulcan, the Roman god of fire, and Eli, a reference to El, the Canaanite word for god. It is evidently a work of one or more Freemasons. But nonetheless, its alchemical reading of the wondrous and magnificent structures
we're getting bingo. It's gonna be fine.
And offers many insights and etymological roots stem from the concept of beginning or birth. Nascent gold here, or the solar sulfur, is not just gold, it is gold growing into...
I don't want to get into the specifics of fucking alchemical formulas for the flat Earth.
On the mercurial waves. The mercurial waves here refer to the metal mercury. Gold is achieving its potential because of the clean energy of mercury. Falconelli explains that mercury's color is an emblematic grey, and that explains why many of the representations of St. Christopher cohem in that color. We will return to the legend of Offa soon.
Those are more of a blue, but sure.
Mercury is of the utmost importance when it comes to understanding not only the mechanics behind the old world's
Welcome to the stream, Made in Geneva. We are watching a 5-hour lost history of the Earth, flat Earth conspiracy video. We're doing bingo, and we're like every ancient build. So first of all, you gotta understand. The Earth is only 200 years old, right? The Earth is only 200 years old. All of the cities were just fucking plopped there by God, and then populated by his army of orphans, I think. Yes, yes, Chad is in agreement here. And then, and all of the like, okay, so like, you know how like old buildings are like big and tall and they have lots of arches and like spires and shit? Well, those arches and spires are drawing electromagnetic energy from the ionosphere to electrically charge the stone and the water, so that an ancient civilization that existed before God put the cities down, I guess, I'm not really sure on that part, could use it as free energy. And now the controllers are covering up the knowledge of how this ancient technology works. So now we're like learning about like the alchemic basis for this, I guess.
In which we find ourselves traversing an enigmatic landscape of symbols that shaped our understanding.
The Earth is flat, but the atmosphere is real. Also ether? Question mark?
Its literal translation from